To be honest, I've never used the Sony ZV1 to vlog, so I'm going to try it today. And the first thing I've noticed is it's actually pretty close to me when I'm hand holding it. I'm not using a long pole, I'm just holding it on the end of my hand on a little handle. So I've got the volume set to about 26, which is the default setting when you reset it. And I've got the stabilisation set to its maximum, because obviously hand holding it is going to be shot all over the place and held low, jogged and pushed. It's pretty windy, which is why I wanted to try it today, because I'm using the internal microphone and I've got the little fluffy on the top just to see if it holds that wind off. At the moment I'm in a nice little covered up area, so the wind isn't at all bad, and I'm behind the microphone. And if you talk from behind, I just want to hear what the thing sounds like when you're speaking into it at a distance of just about a foot, I suppose. There's a lot of bird song around and stuff outside, but at the moment I'm protected from the wind, so hopefully the audio is nice and clear and the camera is dealing with this bright and dark passage here fairly well, hopefully anyway. Now you might be able to hear that the wind is actually quite strong and the trees up there are moving around. And there's a song thrush just round the corner. So now I've emerged into the open more and the wind's hitting me, and hopefully the little fluffy on the top of the microphone there is actually working and doing its job. Actually, having said that, the wind's just calmed down, but it is actually blowing with gusts at the moment, so I thought this is a great time to test the microphone. The camera itself, as I walk, is getting quite a bit of judder there. I can see the lens jigging about, so that'll be interesting to see how the stabilisation deals with that, actually. It is actually pretty windy, to be honest, and the wind now is blowing right into my face. So what actually prompted this was the fact that I walked down this road with the Canon M50, and even with a 16mm lens, especially if I put the stabilisation on, the field of view was getting a bit close. But not only that, the weight of the camera just meant it was very difficult to hold when you're vlogging. So I thought, okay, let's go as light as I can this time and try it out with just the internal microphone on the end of basically on the end of a stick. And so that sort of prompted me to try this one out. I am finding it quite close, but it's just about usable, I think, on the end of my arm. If I had a pole, just put it out a bit further, it would be fine, but then you're going to incur more movement on the picture. So it's kind of a swings and roundabouts situation, isn't it, really? You always know when winter's going away here, because these ditches are full in the winter, and then as spring comes and summer starts to come in, these things start to empty out. This is actually our drainage. These bluebells are actually kind of purpley in colour. They're really rather nice. We get covered with them here over this time of year. These things here are stinging nettles, and if you don't know about them, if you touch their leaves into your skin, they really do sting. The weird thing about them, though, is you can eat them, would you believe, and you can make tea out of them. But wherever you see stinging nettles, you're also going to see these broadleaf plants, and these are the antidote to the stinging nettles. If you get that leaf and rub it on your skin, it takes the pain away, which is rather nice. It's called a dock leaf. You can also make tea out of this plant, this yellow one, which is a dandelion. So it's a horrible little weed and it ruins lawns, but you can actually make tea out of it. Dandelion tea. Very nasty. So now I'm trying to hold this as still as I possibly can while walking down the road here. I do feel that I've got to be quite careful, but I must admit, on screen it doesn't look too bad. We'll see when we get home, but I'm still walking and holding this thing, and it looks fairly stable on my screen. I have to admit though, I was being quite careful while I was walking. Another curious thing I've noticed about this is the on-off switch on the top is actually now underneath the fluffy. You can't easily see it, you have to sort of dig to find it. So if you want to turn your camera off, you have to close the viewing screen, really. You can't leave it open ready to take a shot easily unless you start digging under the fluff and find the on-off switch. Oh, quick update on that. Once you know it's there, it's easy to find actually. So you just sort of push your finger under the fluffy and there it is. I see one of the farmers has been out now trimming the hedges too. It's rather nice, really good. And he's dug this bit out here as well, cleared it up. Probably trying to get rid of all the weeds. This just about sums up Kent farming, I suppose. Sheep in the foreground, cows in the background. The only thing we want now is a rapeseed field where they make rapeseed oil from it. And the south has been coated. Don't know if you ever come down at this time of year, but roughly around now, around about spring, the fields all turn really bright yellow, and that's actually rapeseed. and it's used to make oil. To keep the sheep in, this farmer has 2 hedges with a gap in the middle, and that really does keep them in there. Well, so far so good. I must admit, this is lovely and light. It's really lovely and light. As I say, I am having a little bit of an issue with the closeness of the lens. It's a bit close to me to vlog, for me to vlog. If I had it a bit further away, if I stretched as far as I could go, that would be about it, which is a shame. There we go, let's go down a bit, up a bit rather. So you look a bit like you're doing a goose step with your hand up when you're filming if you do this, but never mind. Oh, sorry, I'm going off camera laughing. But I do like the lightness of this camera. It really works for it, for the vlogging situation. Lens could be a bit shorter, in all honesty. The other thing I don't like is that record button. For video, you press a different button to the shutter for still photos, and it's easy to make a mistake. I still haven't got used to that. This shot's taken with the zoom fully extended, and I'm just going to do a little pan shot to see how much detail we're actually getting in those trees when you've got the zoom fully out. I think this is only a 4x zoom anyway, so it's nothing spectacular, but it does help. So there you go. That's the last remnants of winter going down there. In case you're not aware, these little houses in Kent with pointy roofs are quite typical actually. They're oast houses, and what they do is they make beer in there. They collect hops and they make beer. The thing is though, a lot of these oast houses have now been bought by people and transformed into houses, into homes. So people actually live in them, which is quite funny. Another thing we have a lot of in Kent is a lot of apple farms as well. So we have a lot of apples every September and October all over the place, and the trees are dropping apples all over the place. So we get free apples really every October or September, October when they get blown off. But that's an oast house, in case you're not aware. Here you are, dandelion tea. Pick a load of those, you can boil them. You know, whenever you go around somewhere in the country where people live, you always hear woodcutters, because the problem out here is we don't have gas. So if there's no gas supplies for heating, we can only rely on wood, which is what this chap's doing in his house here. He's chopping up wood, or on oil. So I have oil fire heating and oil-fired heating, and that powers up and makes the hot water and everything for us. But obviously this guy is using wood, and we hear that all the time out here where you've got people living. God, look at the wind. So just to recap, today I used this camera because I wanted to see what it was like for vlogging with that lens, but also to see what that internal microphone was going to do on a windy day. To be honest, also the weather is quite strange. Every now and then it gets really sunny and then it goes a bit dull again, the clouds come over. So to see how well the camera copes with that as well. I have got the ND filter on, so hopefully I am in focus most of the time and it's caught onto my face. I think this is quite a nice camera to carry around because of its size. The lens, as I said earlier, could be a bit shorter. Possibly the microphone is working okay with that fluffy. I hope it is. That's good if it is. At the moment the wind's hitting its side on, and it is actually quite windy, I must admit. It's a difficult time even for a normal microphone inside a dead cat. Screen is okay. It's a little bit cluttered and small, but it's okay. I would like a viewfinder, I think. That would be nice. It would have been nice to have something where you can save battery power. You know, with the Canon M50 you can just put it on your face and you don't have to use that screen, so you save a little bit of battery that way, because the batteries on these things aren't fantastic. I've been out for not that long and already, looking at the screen here, 1 bar has gone, so the battery life is an issue with these cameras. Funny thing is, it uses the same camera batteries, these batteries, as my camcorders, and the camcorders seem to go on for like 2 hours, whereas these cameras, like the Canon and this one, although the Canon doesn't use these, they don't hang on so long. They use a lot more power to keep going. But see how it looks when we get home, because if this is a good quality picture, there's a van coming up, this is all right, it's going to work.